Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So I was just outside doing a little exercising, just listening to some YouTube videos, and this actually popped up for me. So this guy, Pfizer, I assume that's how you pronounce it. Not a ton of subs, so it seems like he's doing something good. I took a look at his channel. I kind of like what we're seeing here. Just kind of like, just like quick glances of some of these. Like, he's putting some effort into these and stuff like that. This could fill kind of a, bit of a hole in the Dokkan community or something like that. Looks like these could be good videos to actually show up. So that could be pretty good. So I figured maybe I could just kind of react to this. I mean, this is pretty good. 35K. This is, 12 hours, something like that, 16 hours. So, figure I could react to this. We'll see if I could kind of give some thoughts on these aging videos or something like that. I could link it, hopefully give the guy a little bit of a bump. I think with global NJP Dokkan about to hit this sync, I do think the landscape of Dokkan is going to change a lot. And, I think specifically like the YouTube or Twitch landscape, I think the game will be just in a significantly more healthy place. I think, maybe a year after the sync or something like that, I think most people will be able to look at it and go, oh, god damn, thank God we finally did that. I do think that'll be the case. And I think we could potentially see, this could be a good time. Once the sync happens, could be a good time for a lot of creators, fresh creators who've been grinding and are kind of like bubbling to blow up. I think it could be a good time for a lot of people. And I feel like I need to be there to embrace YouTubers coming up. So let's take a look at this. Let's see how well this is. Now, I took a glance at this. So I did see who was character
Dokkan,
number 10.
over its near 10 years of life,
and I saw character number 9, and
some
I was like,
amazing,
okay, maybe I'll just do a video on this.
And some not so great. Today, we'll be going over the top 10 units that were power crept and fell from grace far too quickly.
Now, I feel like I have a good, remembrance of this stuff, but maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe that, because I haven't done research ahead of time for this, to kind of, remember what maybe some of these characters and some of these spots might have looked like. So, I mean, we'll see.
Please note that these lists are carefully calculated through an intense algorithm.
Okay.
Without further ado, let's get on with the list. And coming in at number 10, we have LR Namek Goku.
Now, okay, I just want to pause here. I don't know if I'm going to agree with this placement. Namek Goku seems potentially out of place here. Now, again, we are looking at worst aging. So, again, I know who number 10 is and who number 9 is, and that's it. So, let's see what some of the higher ranking characters are looking like. I mean, because certainly Namek Goku was mega elite when he came out. And, he would have been really good for several months. But, 5 months in, I remember specifically using Namek Goku and Frieza against Baby Red Zone, which would have been, February 10th of 2022 or something like that. And they were, really struggling in there. And I was like, wow, holy shit. So, again, that's about August until February would be kind of this guy's prime.
LR Namek Goku leads the Legendary Existence or Super Saiyan categories for 3 key, 170% to HP and attack, and 150% to defense. On his 12 key super, he stacks defense, and on his 18 key super, he stacks attack. His passive skill, the Super Saiyan's Final Showdown, gives himself 2 key and 159.
So I will kind of move forward a little bit right here because I think he mostly just goes over what the character's kit is looking like right here, which I mean is certainly good for this type of video. And then he kind of gets into some more talking about the character after that.
The active skill condition is that it can be activated with one enemy whose HP is 30% or below and their extreme class. And essentially it plays a really pretty animation and does a bit of damage. His link set isn't half bad. He doesn't have too many key links to where he'll struggle to get his 12 key super. He's essentially got every category under the sun. And honestly, the real reason that he finds...
Yeah, this is super good. Class, this is very good. A character like a Dokkan Fest LR drops on this many categories is huge because now in this era of Dokkan, what are they doing? Mission-based content is huge in this era of Dokkan. So being on so many different teams, a really good thing.
Himself on this list is when he came out during the 2021 Worldwide Download Celebration, he was great. He was top 3 for sure, competing for the best unit in the game with LR AGO UI Goku and AGO LR Full Power Frieza.
Yep, that's correct.
But
yeah,
when
for sure.
Red Zone released...
I for sure would have said AGL UI Goku is number 1. I don't think Namek Goku had a good claim to number 1, because I don't think you had a good claim of putting him above Frieza. I thought UI Goku versus Frieza was a good argument for number 1, right? For real. Like, for me, it was definitely UI Goku because he was way better defensively, right? Like, Frieza could sit in slot 1, but, you know, like a boss super attacking right away, like a Super Battle boss or something like that, could still blow Frieza into hell, right? Because you want to put him in slot 1 to get that additional super. But, I mean, yeah, that is true. It was definitely those 3 at the time. And, I mean, he puts this down right here, but, again, this is... Okay, if we're doing worst aging, remember, we are going to have to keep the dates of... this is on the JP schedule. Because for Global, they would have gotten Namek Goku on... would have been, like, August 30th of 2021, something like that. And then, you know, Red Zone, like the actual big Red Zone stages where Namek Goku starts to struggle, it would have been like July, like 25th or something like that, when like the baby stages, like those types would have dropped. So that's quite a long time. So for Namek Goku to be one of the worst aging, we're definitely talking about the JP. So it was, you know, August until about mid-February.
4 short months after his release with the 7th year anniversary, he got blasted and exposed. His start of turn defense was never really that impressive. And when
because he's a stacker.
Stepped up the start of turn enemy attack strength, Namek Goku folded like bread. You couldn't put him in slot 1 because he was too weak defensively for slot 1, which meant that you couldn't get that guaranteed additional super attack, which meant that you had to run him in slot 2 or 3, and you only had a 30% chance of launching an additional super attack there. And honestly, all around, it was just kind of cursed. All in all, Namek Goku was only really, really, really good for not even half a year. And a Dokkan Fest LR of his caliber shouldn't be only good for a few short months.
Yeah, but, I mean, while I do agree, unfortunately, that's definitely not the precedent they've now set. I mean, I guess you could say, who is worldwide? It would have been Cooler and Super Saiyan Goku. Like, going into the 8th anniversary year, there was not, like, a major jump, right, in difficulty. Like, Sin was, like, a new hardest fight, but it didn't feel like there was, like, a major step up. This year there was, so, like, AGL Vegito Blue struggled immensely. I hope he's on this list, because I do think that character should definitely be here. I guess if that character should be here, this guy should be. But here's the thing. Global players, you guys are now on the same schedule as JP. So these characters at the end of the year, there's a decent chance all of them could fall out of grace very fast. Whereas, like, the anniversary characters typically dominate the entire year, typically.
And coming in at number 9, we have EZA Tech Super Saiyan 3 Broly. Now, on release, EZA Tech Super Saiyan 3 Broly...
Okay, hold on. He's using the global releases here. I assume... Like just like some of the dates he's throwing up are global dates, but we're kind of like probably talking about this in like JP terms. Broly came out. Let's just quickly grab this. Here, let me pull up when Super Saiyan 3 Broly came out. It was like June of 2020. It was July 9th of 2020. Super Saiyan 3 Broly got his EZA. Okay.
And coming in at number 9, we have EZA Tech Super Saiyan 3 Broly. Now on release, EZA Tech Super Saiyan 3 Broly wasn't all that bad. He was the first of the 120% leaders to EZA. He had respectable damage.
Yeah, now what he just said, I do agree. I remember myself, I thought he was pretty decent at the time. But then as, like, Super 17 came out 3 weeks later, I think I didn't close this, so yeah, he's right here. This guy came out along with Tech Ultimate Gohan, and it's like this guy dwarfed Broly it was unbelievable. This guy was still competitive in the red zone. This guy in Tech Ultimate Gohan who came out you know, right here, we're competitive in red zone. So.
And some okay defense. But as the other 120% leaders begin to get their EZAs, it was very apparent that EZA Super Saiyan 3 Broly was very underpowered.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
instance, his super attack did not give him any attack or defense, and only massively lowered defense, which is terrible.
Yep.
His passive skill, Overwhelming Power, gave him 120% attack and defense, start a turn, respectable for the time, and then he gets 12% attack and negative 6% defense per key sphere obtained.
That shit is
Essentially,
still
he
so
took
crazy,
his
man.
weakness from his pre-EZA counterpart, in which he lost defense per key sphere obtained, which is not great as a nuker. He also had a 30% chance of launching an additional super attack with 3 or more key spheres obtained. He also, of course, has a wonky link set as a Super Saiyan 3 character. He does not have Over in a Flash and is rather a prepared for battle character, which is very odd. He's of course on no teams, and
That's
he's
tough.
wonky.
That's
Honestly,
tough,
characters like this, Exchange Boo, and LR Super 17, all of which are Extreme Tech, are why Extreme Tech Extreme Super Battle Road was so hard for so long, because they designed these characters terribly. As soon as the other 120% EZAs came out, it was made very evident very quickly that EZA Super Saiyan 3 Broly was just not up to snuff. And he aged out of the meta quick. He never really ever even got a chance to shine for
Sure.
real. But that's EZA Tech Super Saiyan 3 Broly. He comes in at number 9. Moving on to number 8. And coming in at number 8,
Okay.
Ain't Super Saiyan 3 Goku.
Real fast. I was never that big a fan of these guys. Yeah, I just was not really that big. A lot of people really like them, but I was never super high on them.
Goku and Tech Majin Vegeta. Now these guys were extremely solid when they first released. They had respectable levels of attack and defense in their base forms, and although they didn't have very good leader skills, with Int Super Saiyan 3 Goku leading Otherworld Warriors in the Super Saiyan 3 category, and Tech Majin Vegeta leading Super Saiyan 2 and Resurrected Warriors, they still managed to get by as a respectable dual Dokkan Fest, even though this is honestly one of the more forgettable dual Dokkan festivals of all time.
For sure,
Essentially,
for sure.
in base forms, they had the same passive. They both got 100% attack and defense, and they flipped when
He's
they got
using
more
the Int
defense.
UI
For
Goku
Int Super
theme
Saiyan
right
3
here. I like that.
Goku, in his base form of Super Saiyan 2, he got a defensive boost of up to 60%, with the more HP remaining, the greater the boost, and up to a 60% attack buff, the less HP remaining, the greater the boost. Majin Vegeta was the opposite in his base form of Super Saiyan 2. They both also got 30% attack and defense with 3 or more key spheres obtained, and they both were able to transform starting from turn 3 when facing only one enemy, 80% HP.
It's really
or more.
this really isn't that bad, that condition, because it's structured in such a way where you can get to a new enemy phase, and I mean they'll be above that HP threshold, so you should transform. I mean, it would be bad against a boss that has like one, like, I don't know, the Cell Maximum or something like that, but it's not a bad transformation condition, really.
They both had some solid links. Notably, Vegeta had both Prepared for Battle and Royal Lineage, which although the link level update wasn't out yet, it would come about 6 months after, which would give him a sizable little buff.
Yeah,
They
that's
both
correct.
had a lot of categories.
Yeah, see,
especially
but again,
Goku.
just real fast. I mean, I'm not really. I mean, this guy put a lot of work in it. This video is good. That's another reason. I saw, again, just the name of Goku part, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I kind of want to put a bit of a spotlight on it, which is why I'm doing like a full reaction to it. But keep in mind, we're definitely moving on the JP timeline of things, because that's the JP timeline. The 6 months, they came out in December, and then the link level update, well, I guess was in July, so kind of 7-ish, but like 6, 7, same thing.
And once they transformed, they again were relatively similar. They both got 50% chances to stun on their super attack effects.
These
Vegeta's
boys
Final
still
Flash
haven't
gave him a
ECA'd,
50%
by the way. I
defensive
wonder
buff,
what they're
and
saving
Goku's
them for.
Super Kamehameha gave him a 50% attack buff. Their passive skills both gave him 120% attack and defense. They once again got the flipped boost of attack and defense depending on HP, with Vegeta getting more attack with more HP and more defense with less HP, and Super Saiyan 3 Goku getting vice versa. Now where they differed a little bit is that Super Saiyan 3 Goku would get 33% attack and defense when attacking, along with 33% dodge chance with 3 or more key spheres, and super effective against all types with 6 or more.
By the way, based off of what we know about dodge, this looks pretty enticing for his potential EZA. I mean, these guys are probably going to be quite good when they EZA.
However, Majin Vegeta would get super effective against all types with 3 key spheres, and then Guard with 6 key spheres. They both also changed from prepared for battle key link units to over in a flash key link units, which is never really ideal.
I agree.
You kind of want to keep your key link set or your main key link consistent throughout your kit. But essentially why this dual Dokkan Fest finds themselves on this list is they were really forgettable. They were pretty good when they released. Obviously they weren't like better than STR Cooler or something.
No.
They were very respectable, and then they just kind of fell off. Honestly, this is one of the more forgettable dual Dokkan Fests ever. It was awesome that they were getting representation, but it was just never meant to be with this dual Dokkan Fest.
You know what's funny is I feel like it's a kind of a similar thing where these guys got just overshadowed by the anniversary so hard. Blue Vegito and Blue Gogeta. I feel like a similar thing just happened with Dragon Fist and Hirudegarn. They just completely poof out of memory as soon as 9th anniversary dropped, right?
Which is unfortunate because this is one of the bigger fights in the show, but that's Int Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku and Tech Majin Vegeta at number 8.
Okay,
moving
sure.
on to number 7. Now coming in at number 7, we have
Kefla.
SGR Kefla. And while she got a great EZA, she spent most of her life cycle as a kind of mid-unit, which was crazy because
I don't know
when
if
she
I
first
agree.
came out, she was competing with Cooler and Beerus, you know, TUR STR Cooler and TUR Physical Beerus
Yup.
for the best TUR in the game.
Yep.
She stacks attack on her super attack effect, and her passive skill gave her start of turn
They went
defense
crazy with that
and
jiggle
all
right
her
there.
attack
Come on, they
on
knew what
super
they were
attack,
doing.
which is how you used to want it, as support would greatly, or rather buff more units who get their attack on super. She also got 50% attack and a 50% chance to dodge with 6 or more key spheres obtained. On turn 3, she would transform into her Super Saiyan state, and she continued to stack attack, now got 150% defense start of turn, and 150% attack when performing a super attack, and got the same 50% attack and a high chance of dodging with 6 or more key spheres obtained, 50%. And then when she comes back again,
I do feel like I really disagree with this character on here, because I'm thinking about who would have been running Universal Survival Saga at the time, right? And I mean, the answer is, you know, funnily enough, a big leader of the team is, he should be like right here. Oh, I'm blind. Yeah, this guy, right? Yeah, Universal Survival. He was leading Universal Survival Saga. Let's see. So Hit was ass at the time. They came later. This guy as well. I was never a fan of him, but he was leading the... Yeah, I don't think I agree with Kefla being here. Let me keep hearing his justification, though.
provided that her HP is above 60%, she would transform into Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, and she was pretty good in this form. Her passive skill, I'm the Strongest, gave her 2 key, 160% defense, and 160% attack when performing a super attack. And she got a baseline 50% chance to dodge just built in, no orbs necessary, and then she launched an additional super attack with 6 or more key spheres obtained. She also had an active skill, Let's Wreck Some Faces, oh boy. The condition is that it can be activated provided that there is a Pure Saiyan or Universal Survival Saga category enemy. And essentially it changed physical key spheres to STR key spheres and made her super effective against all types. Not really anything crazy, but solid for the time. She also, as a Universe 6 female Saiyan, had great links and was on a healthy plethora of teams.
Yep.
She also released with 2 very good TURs, TUR Awakenings rather, in Tech Caulifla and STR Kale.
Vados was pretty good
really,
as well.
2020 was just a very bizarre year for Dokkan. All the releases in the first half of 2020, I'd really say up until Tech Ultimate Gohan, were just very odd, wonky releases that really just did not age well in the meta. Kefla, as a TUR who was competing to be the best TUR in, the game, for her time, fell off way faster than STR Cooler and Physical Beerus did. Which
So we would have been leading up to the God event, the gods of destruction with the 6th anniversary, right? At the time here in 2020, Extreme Super Battle Road was kind of like the, like some of the big content at the time. So like, the Extreme STR Super Battle Road stage, stuff like that. I do remember Extreme STR Super Battle Road being a joke. And of course, like Cooler and Omega and those boys had like a big hand in that. So, I mean, yeah, I would just say off of recollection, Cooler and Beerus above Kefla for sure.
Which honestly is rather unfortunate. But her 50% dodge chance being locked behind key spheres when she doesn't create her own key spheres is just rather eh.
That's true.
And sure, she creates key spheres on her active skill, but that's not until turn 5. And when she already has her dodge built into her kit. She really was just a big sitting duck, especially in her base form. If you didn't get her 6 key spheres in her base form, she was cooked. But that's STR Kefla. She comes in at number 7. Moving on to number 6. And coming in at number 6, you have Tech Bardock, a somewhat recent unit. Bardock's leader skill was Goku Family or Timeless Legends. Categories 3 key and 170% attack and defense and HP, and then also gave an additional 30% buff for the full 200% buff to Pure Saiyan category allies.
Now, real quick, one thing I guess I should mention, Harry Turney, who runs Dokkan Info, because this guy's using the Dokkan Info, doesn't like to use some of the, I don't know how it's shittier global transformations like Earthbred Fighter, right? I mean, Warriors Race on Earth. I mean, now what is better? Obviously, Warriors Race on Earth. Like that's what it should be. For whatever they do this though in all the Dragon Ball stuff, like it's not necessarily just global Dokkan. A lot of the translations like they aren't very consistent, right? But yeah, just keep that in mind.
For those prior 2 teams.
Because that's storied figures is that category.
Bardock's super attack gave him 50% attack and defense for the turn, which is a pretty respectable buff. Bardock's passive, Resisting a Doomed Future, plays a really great intro animation.
Yeah.
Provided that you have a Goku ally or a Frieza enemy. Once he activated his intro animation, he changed a random type of key sphere to rainbow key spheres, got 70% attack, and had a super attack scouter for 5 turns.
Really good.
He also got 2 key 150%
now,
attack.
Real quick, let me also pause and throw this in. When he first dropped, he did not work as intended, and his scouter was only for his turns. But that was fixed, I want to say, after maybe a week or so, or something like that. And correctly, his scouter was then for the first 5 turns of battle, and not for Bardock. Just like the first 5 turns of battle, but only when Bardock showed up, right? So
defense started turn, 40% attack and defense with each super attack performed, with a max of 120%, and then became super effective against all types with 1 key sphere obtained. That was Rainbow. He also got a further 50% attack and defense when collecting at least 2 Rainbow key spheres, and performed a guaranteed crit when getting 3 or more Rainbow key spheres. He also had an active skill, the Final Spirit Cannon, and its effect was it did some damage. Not really all that great damage because he doesn't stack attack and does guaranteed crits for the turn. The condition is that it can be activated when there are 3 or more Team Bardock category allies on the team, starting from turn 3, or if HP is 50% or below from starting from turn 5, which honestly isn't a bad restriction. He also has very good links. Notably, he's got Saiyan Lineage and Prepared for Battle, 2 very big key links. He's on a solid amount of categories. And honestly, when he released, he was very good.
I mean, he is on really bad categories, though. Like, sure.
Scouter and his really good leader skill made him pretty decent.
Goku Family, yeah.
But he just very, very, very quickly fell off.
Okay.
Units that released around him were just way better than him. And you can really just attribute this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, so 2022. The first half of the year, the characters are horrible. right? Horrible. I mean, worst aging units in Dokkan history. I'd be curious to see if like the EZA LR Super Saiyan 4s are here, 4th anniversary LRs, 3rd anniversary LRs, those types of characters. The first half of 2022 characters are just like god awful, but then once Trunks and Vegeta dropped, and so many of the last half of 2022 characters are like some of the best characters ever. Pat the Power Kid Goku, the Gammas, Orange Piccolo, Vegeta and Trunks. I mean, these are some of the best characters ever, for sure. Yamcha was very good, right? So, now let's see if him finish, and then I'll give. Bardock should be on here. Let's see if he nails why.
To his really bad start of turn defense. Honestly, it's just his numbers aren't big enough, and he became pretty much unrunnable, or very much so mid, a few short months after his release. Units like the Gammas and Yamcha all aged far better than this guy did. And mainly it's also because he doesn't have any built-in additionals or any strong defensive capabilities. And units who do that just never really age that well. While he does have the super attack Scouter, it's honestly like some STR Super Vegito type beat, where sure the Scouter is great, but if you just foresee your own death due to running this guy, are you really,
I like this guy. This guy, I could tell his head's in the right place with the defense and stuff like that. I'm liking this guy. I like him.
Fitting yourself? Are you actually just at a net negative? That's how it be. And that's Tech Bardock. He comes in.
He didn't mention it. Tech Bardock, he says. Okay, sure. Bardock is a character who's weak to AoE attacks. And 2023, which Bardock was leading into, Sin drops, AoE boss. Omega drops, AoE boss. Fusion Zamasu drops, AoE boss. Right, Bardock had no shot.
And number 6, moving on to number 5. And unfortunately, coming in at number 5, we've got LRAGO, Blue Goku and Vegeta, who fuse into Vegito Blue.
Who's going to be above
straight
them?
Up,
All
they
right.
got one of the best leader skills in
Ever.
the entire game.
Yes.
Even still.
Yep.
Their leader skill is Battle of Fate, Future Saga, and Power Beyond Super Saiyan category allies, 3 key 170% across the board. And then they also give the full 200% buff to allies who are on both of those teams, who are also on Realm of Gods or Time Travelers. They also give just regular vanilla superclass 3 key and 150%.
So crazy, man.
Not bad. Their super attack effects are that they raise attack on 12.
This is what one thing that hurts them so bad, by the way. This. I don't. What were they thinking not giving them defense on their 12 key? That helps to make them nigh unrunnable in slot 2 and 3 at times.
Their entrance animation plays, and then they get 100% defense and guards all attacks for 4 turns, provided that there's another Future Saga category ally on the team when they pop up. They also
their
get
animations
3 key
are
and 100%
so
attack
bad, dude.
and defense start of turn. They get an additional 2 key spheres per type key sphere obtained. They get 50% attack and defense and super effective against all types when there's a Realm of Gods category enemy, and 150% defense and a 50% chance to dodge as the first attacker in the turn. They also get 100% attack and 50% defense, and launch an additional attack that has a 50% chance of being a super attack as the second or third attacker in a turn, and launch an additional super attack when key is 20 or more. So essentially what you want to do with them is leave them in slot 1 for those first 4 turns, while they have their guard, massive defensive buff, and 50% chance to dodge in slot 1, because they really don't do any damage. They kind of just suck offensively.
Yeah, they do
but
no
they're
damage.
very good defensively, especially for the hardest content at the time.
Well, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm cutting the guy off, but yeah. At the time, yeah, defensively they were they were really good when they first came out. It had nothing to do with Vegito himself. It was their defensive ability the first couple of turns in slot 1, for sure.
The Moss suit of the Dismal Future Red Zone. Their active skill condition for their Patara fusion was that it could be activated when HP was 70% or less starting on turn 5, or when there's another future category ally attacking in the same turn, or future enemy starting from turn 7. They also have really, really good links, and they're on a bajillion teams. But once they fused, it got real. Vegito Blue was very good. And honestly, he's still pretty decent.
I agree.
His super attack effects give him 50% attack and defense on both. He lowers attack and defense on 12 key and raises superclass allies by 50% on 18 key. His passive skill, All Rounders Grand Performance, gives him 5 key, 250% attack and defense baseline. He gets 2 key per key sphere obtained, not just type key sphere. He's super effective against all types, guaranteed, built in. He gets 30% damage reduction before attacking. He gets 20% damage reduction baseline. High chance of evading an enemy's attack, 50%, and launches an additional super attack with a 50% chance of being a super attack in slot 1. He launches a guaranteed additional super attack and then a 30% of launching another additional super attack in slot 2 or 3. And then he launches an additional super attack when he launches his active skill or key is 20 or more. He also has another active skill. He has 2, the God Impact. The condition is that it can be activated when HP is 50% or less, or when facing an enemy whose HP is 50% or less.
I think it's a decent
essentially
condition.
what it does is it plays a really nice animation and gives him guaranteed dodge for the turn, which is very good. He also, of course, as a Vegito Blue unit, just has an amazing link set, although no prepared for battle. And honestly, once he fuses, he's very good. But the problem is that his active skill condition is very bad. And once you lose the guard and the additional 100% defense that this
Yeah,
unit
he was
gets
obviously referring to their transformation, the first active skill, right? Yeah.
with their intro animation, they just kind of fall off very heavy.
Yep.
And if you don't have the Patara fusion up, you're kind of just cooked. Once content started deviating from that super short type of content with the Dismal Future Red Zone and more towards our current hard fights with Cell Max, movie Boss Rush Red Zone, STR Blue Gogeta, and fights like that, his weaknesses were very quickly exposed.
Yeah.
And even still, he was getting slapped up. You know, in base, you know, the Blue Goku and Vegeta, even with their guard, they're still getting kind of cooked by STR Sword of Hope Trunks in that fight. It's just really unfortunate because this was such a huge celebration, man. This is one of the biggest celebrations ever.
It
and
was.
Honestly, just what the doctor ordered.
It was crazy because this guy, no matter what, this guy is, I mean, I think he'll be thought of rather negatively in Dokkan history, but it was actually a good unit in Dokkan history just because Vegito Blue was the perfect character to pair with the announcement that the Global Sync was coming. I mean, many OGs, big time OGs from way in the past, you know, Rhyme came back for a little Dokkan, Thundershot came back, like real big OGs from the past came back. You know, D-Free was around more when the stuff was announced. Like, it was huge, man. It was huge. So like that was good. So that's a good thing. They did pair that right. This character, the thing that really hurts them with the aging process is that their strong defensive ability is when they're in slot 1. If their defense was slot 3 instead, they would be very good right now. They would. Because you could double float them, you'd be able to fuse, they'd be good defensively in base, they'd be good as Vegito Blue, they'd be a good character. The problem is slot 1. So, I mean, LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I'm sure LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku's on here. LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku fans who obsess about him, the problem is not anything that could be fixed, it's that he needs to be run in slot 1.
We all wanted a fusing Blue Vegito for the longest. And I believe this is the first actual Blue Goku and Blue Vegeta that we've gotten in the game. But unfortunately, Dokkan kind of missed the mark on this. And now, they're kinda just in limbo. They're still a solid unit, I could even say a good unit, but they've aged a little too fast for my taste.
I mean, the thing came up, it said, subscribe, sure. We'll give him a like as well.
They were kicked off the superhero team 4 short months after their release, which I personally believe is not ideal for a huge, super hype dual Dokkan Fest worldwide download celebration. But that's Vegito. He comes in at number 5, moving on to number 4. Now, coming in at number 4, we got Tech Pan. Now, Tech Pan, when she came out, she was really good, competing for the best TUR in the game, and she was cooking up. the hardest fight in the game at the time, which was
Broly.
Red Zone
Yeah.
Broly.
Okay.
She led the Bond of Friendship and Seeker of the Dragon Ball category and gave the 200% to GT
I'm not
Heroes.
sure if I agree
Her
with
super
Pan
attack
here, but let's
effect
see what he says.
only stacked attack. And
I'm
gave a
not the
30%
biggest
chance to
Pan
stun.
fan, but
Again,
we'll see
giving
what he
units
says.
no defense on their super attack effect will just never be ideal. It's just very, very bad. Not a good idea. And she also had a unit super attack, multiple unit super attacks for that matter. One with GT Goku, one with Trunks GT, and one with Giru. They all essentially did the same thing except Goku's gives a 70% chance to stun rather than the 50% chance.
By the way, if I'm not mistaken, isn't a huge issue for this dumbass thing right here. Super Saiyan 4 Goku does not trigger this, which is stupid. But he does trigger her active. Because her active, I think, is just a GT Goku. And then the unit super is GT Goku in the name, which is dumb. Dumb, dumb, dumb.
That the Giru and Trunks ones do. They all upgrade her to greatly stacking attack. Her passive skill, We Are Super Strong, gives her 150% attack and defense start a turn, 50% attack and defense when attacking, and she gets 2 key, 50% attack, and 50% damage reduction until she launches an attack. While in slot 1, she also gets 20% attack and defense per attack performed, up to 100%. And then she performs an additional attack that has a 50% chance of being a super attack if there is a GT Heroes category ally attacking in the same turn, whose name includes Goku, Trunks, or Giru. So essentially, what you wanted to do was stack up her attack by doing unit super attacks and doing additional super attacks so that you could launch her super powerful active skill, which was just a nuclear bomb, man. This thing hit hard.
Yeah, yep.
Her active skill, the trump card Kamehameha, was able to be used when 5 or more attacks have been launched, and that there is a GT hero category.
Yeah,
ally
so see,
attacking
that
in the
Super
same
Saiyan
turn,
4 Goku
whose
can
name
trigger that
includes
one.
Goku. And essentially what it did was it gave her a 59% chance to perform a critical hit, and it did a lot of damage. And I mean a lot of damage. This thing could easily one-shot Red Zone Broly. That's how hard it hit. She also has solid links, mainly Saiyan lineage and All in the Family. Powerful links for her to use. GT, of course, not to be slept on as well. But overall, she was really good on release, but quickly after her release, she was exposed for certain aspects of her kit, which were very wonky or poorly designed.
The Pan
Eventually,
slot.
she started getting obliterated after she launched her attack in slot 1, as she loses her 50% damage reduction, and she's weaker defensively
That shit is so
after
ass,
she launches
dude,
a super attack, which is very odd. And that content also just got harder for her. Her team also was never really that good, and once the team fell apart around her, she also was exposed for not having that great of a leader skill.
Yeah. Her team was never super crazy. Yeah, for sure.
A solid one, but not a great one. She was similar to STR Videl in the sense that she was the team, right? You were designing your team to stack her up and launch her super powerful active skill.
Yeah.
And once that became really not worth it and really a liability, if anything, she just very, very quickly fell off the map and aged a lot worse than some of the TUR counterparts that released around her, like AGL Captain Guinea, for example. That's Tech Pan, though. She comes in.
Well, hold on. Wait. Let's repeat that last line.
Fell off the map and aged a lot worse than some of the TUR counterparts that released around her, like AGL Captain Guinea, for example.
See, this is where I think we start to disagree, because the difference of this, this is something, I mean, okay, guys, if you're noticing, some of these characters are in similar time slots. Like, it has to more so do, like, Ginyu is not going to be on here because he released in March. So, I mean, he was very effective. Once we got to the Wicca Bloodline Red Zone, things, and, you know, like Cell Max, stuff like that, things were, like, a little tougher for Ginyu. I remember struggling a lot in the Wicca Bloodline Red Zone. If you guys remember, at the time, I was doing the challenge runs. So, if we just type in Ginyu Wicked, just probably Ginyu Wicked will be enough. Yeah. Dude, this was tough. This was hard. This was hard.
What?
I Oh, did I timestamp these? I did. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. It was this. The Metal Cooler stage was brutal because the Ginyu Force team couldn't do enough damage. Metal Cooler was almost out healing us, and the team was just not nearly as effective once we got into this content compared to how stuff was, you know, in the red zones previously during the anniversary. So I mean, I don't know. Like Ginyu started to fall off around similar time with Pan, so
That's Tech Pan, though. She comes in at number 4. Let's move on to the top 3. Now, coming in at number 3 is,
3?
Unfortunately, LR Int Full Power
I thought he'd
Super
be
Saiyan
1.
4 Goku. So, Int LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku has a solid leader skill. He gives GT heroes.
It got a
full
lot
power
better.
category
Full power
allies
has monsters
for
on it now.
170%
Yeah,
buff across the board,
it
and he
aged
gives
really well.
pure and
His
hybrid
leader skill,
Saiyan categories the full 200%. His super attack effects
like Beast, is on full power.
give him
right?
30% defense on his 12 key and gives him 30% defense for multiple turns, up to 4 turns on his 18 key.
Yeah,
He
pretty
also
good.
lowered attack on his 12. His passive skill, Miraculous Saiyan Fighter at his peak, gives him 3 key, 150% attack and defense. Start a turn, an additional key sphere per key sphere obtained,
Pretty good.
70% attack when performing a super attack, and a 50% chance of performing a crit if it's an 18 key, 70% attack within the same turn, and an additional 70% defense for 3 turns after receiving or an evading an attack. He got 20% base.
Okay, dude, this is good. Like, when we start getting it, it's not just getting hit, but you could also dodge, and it gives you that, is super awesome. The problem for Super Saiyan 4 Goku is that it wasn't written the same for his actual standby condition. If it was, like, if you could give this guy 30 dodge, right, and actually, like, be able to get to a standby, he would be significantly better. But this guy, he has a twofold issue. Number 1, he needs to be running slot 1, which is just like, if you talk about any character that ever has to be running slot 1 is going to age like shit, because the bosses are going to get harder, and then, you know, you're not going to be good in slot 1 anymore. It's going to happen. And then also having to get hit is also, you'll age terribly because you have to get hit, right? It's like characters who are old, you want to hide them under the umbrella of better new characters. That's his twofold issue.
Line damage reduction and 70% defense and an additional 20% damage reduction as the first attacker in
That's
in
what
the
kills him
turn,
right there.
aka slot 1.
Yep.
He also had his standby skill, but before we get to that, we should talk about his links. His links were very good.
Yep.
As a GT Super Saiyan 4, obviously
Beastie
these
ass
units have
links.
great
Very
links.
good. Yeah. Very
He's
good.
got great links like Prepared for Battle, Shocking Speed, GT, Saiyan Roar. Just very, very good dominant links.
Sure.
His standby could be activated once this character receives 5 or more attacks.
Brutal condition,
and
dude.
who
Oh my god.
essentially is a dominant beast of a tank. He had no super attack effect, and he's unable to attack at all, honestly. But his passive skill gave him 300% defense, 10% damage reduction per type key sphere obtained, and
Yep.
guaranteed guard when 3 or more type key spheres were obtained for 1 turn. He also gave all allies 3 key and 70% defense for multiple turns, 2 turns.
Really good.
Obviously, that multiple turn defensive support was very good. He also created his own key spheres to int key spheres.
Now,
and
real
also
fast.
nullifies unarmed super.
It's not often, but because Oob changes, you know, gets int key spheres, and then he specifically needs type key spheres, sometimes you could struggle if he doesn't create enough key spheres. Then there's also the charges needed to get to full power. I have, you know, had situations go bad where I just didn't have orbs and I wasn't able to really get into full power easily. It was rare, but it is something that could occur.
Attacks directed at the character. Once you got enough key orbs, provided that you got the full 30, you could transform into full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who was very good. He gave himself 30% attack and defense on 12 key, while also greatly lowering enemy attack. The times 10 Kamehameha, his 18 key super attack, gave him 50% attack for the turn, and
I do just want to say, too, I think that this guy should probably be #1. In terms of worst aging characters, because this guy came out, was a monster dominant, then they dropped the hardest fight in the game designed for this guy, but then 1 month later the new hardest fight and this guy was unrunnable basically.
raised his defense by 30% for 4 turns. His passive skill, unadulterated full power, gave himself 77% HP recovery upon his first appearance. He guards all attacks for 1 turn at the start of turn and gets guaranteed crits for 3 turns. He got
the guard
7
for
key
1 turn
and
is what
200%
hurts him
attack and defense
right
baseline,
now, by the way.
an additional 2 key per int or rainbow key sphere obtained, and 1 key sphere for all others.
Like, this guy right now, he's pretty competitive that first turn. After the first turn, though, he's dead. He's a dead duck.
He got 150% attack when performing a super attack, and a great chance of performing a critical hit if it's an 18 key super attack. And this guy just lived at 24 key, honestly. It was so free to get him high in the key. He got 59% attack and perform a critical hit if key is 24, which again, as I said, is free. He gets 77% defense for 5 turns after receiving or evading an attack. 25% damage reduction built in, and an additional 25% damage reduction and 77% defense as the first attacker in the turn, slot 1. He also, of course, has his super dominant link set, making things for him in terms of key very easy. Essentially, what happened, why Super Saiyan 4 Goku aged way too fast, was that, again, a fight like Merge Zamasu, and really, honestly, the STR Goku Black fight, the Tech Cell fight, pretty much all the fights in there just cooked this guy in his base.
Well, to be fair, this Goku was really good for Tech Cell. I thought Goku was good for Tech Cell.
Form. He wasn't terrible in his base form, but he was very quickly exposed as not being good enough defensively. He would just get one-shot obliterated in those newer fights, and it was very unfortunate for him, because he was very, very good Omega Shenron fight. But these new shorter fights, where Super Saiyan Full Power Goku couldn't come out, or where Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku, odd name, but you know, Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, when he couldn't come out in those shorter fights, it just ended up to him getting exposed. Also, the fact that he gets his passive defense when he dodges, but needs to be hit to launch his standby, is just rather poor design on Dokkan's part, and leads to dodges feeling very bad for this guy. And of course, he's got 5 built-in dodge, so good luck with that. That's Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, though. He comes in at number 3. And now it really, really, truly pains me to do this, but coming in at number 2, we have the
for
LR
aging
Blue
out,
Fusions, who were, of course, on the release during the 5th year anniversary, were the best units in the game. And by the time Extreme Category Super Battle Road rolled around, about 5 months later, 6 months later, they were honestly unrunnably bad. It was very, very unfortunate.
I don't know. I don't know.
Their base forms being so weak defensively really just ended up getting them burnt back.
Yeah, but I see. I don't agree. Because even in base, let's just pull one of them up. Let's just pull up Vegito. I don't agree, because even in base, they still had the 70% dodge in slot 3. So it's like, well, no, excuse me, it was high. I mean, I guess, yeah, it is high chance, but they weren't exactly giving out 70% dodge like candy back then either. These guys could certainly, the thing is, you just, in Extreme Super Battle Road, certainly, they were not slot 1 or slot 2 characters, but then also, Super Battle Road fights, it's like, you're not likely, even though they have good transformation conditions, you're not likely to get there, to get to this point in Extreme Super Battle Road fights. I mean, I don't know. They did drop, and then Extreme Super Battle Road dropped basically about exactly a month later.
Now, I'm sure everybody knows what the Blue Fusions do, but they essentially stack attack in their base forms. They get a 50% chance to dodge in slot 3 prior to the Easy A, and they just kind of blow balls defensively. If they get hit, you die. They then transform on turn 4, and then they build up. And once they were fully built up, they were still very, very impressive.
Yeah.
It's just that in the hardest content in the game, which changed from the legendary Goku event
Yep.
when the Blue Fusion's released to Extreme Category Super Battle Road.
Well, the silly goose did show the GT. Yeah, but I mean, Legendary Goku event. Yeah, that was the GT Goku event. But not being a stickler again, not being a. I'm trying not to be a stickler on him, but yeah.
When I believe AGL Bardock released for Saiyan Day, they just kind of ended up getting cooked because, like with full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, they need time to build up. Again, they were very impressive when fully built up.
Yeah, but the difference is I do still think they were very competitive, dodging in slot 3, right? And specifically, what makes AGL Blue Vegeta, or the Goku and Vegeta, and LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku so horrible, and it's just silly that people cope for them, is that they have to be run in slot 1 to even be remotely effective, and they can't handle slot 1. These guys, though, like, why are their easy A's are still very effective characters, because you just put them in slot 3, they've got 70% dodge, they show back up on turn 4, and they've got 100% dodge. You know, even you run them on a superhero team, you're only going to barely get a couple of attacks aimed at them during the fight where they could even be hit and hurt. So it's like, I don't know. I don't agree with these guys.
You don't have enough time to fully build up with them. You know, it'd be turn 6, turn 7, turn 8 once you finally have the chance to fully build up with them.
That's true.
They're sitting ducks for every other turn, especially turns 1 through 3. That combined with they cannot build up in slot 3 once they transform, they just kinda got exposed. And they were honestly probably the fastest aging anniversary units ever. Which is honestly really unfortunate because I think that these are the biggest releases in Dokkan history, man. These are probably the most iconic Dokkan units in the entire game's history, right? Like, I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, it's them or the 7th anniversary LRs for sure. I guess he is right though. Sorry. I guess he is right though, because all the other anniversary units were more dominant during their anniversary year than these guys. I mean, Evolution Blue Vegeta, who I think people hate on very heavily, was probably more effective in 2021 at a lot of points than these guys were in 2020. If you want to argue that point, I think that's pretty fair, probably.
The Blue Fusions for the 5th year anniversary is far and away the most hype anniversary, in my opinion. So it's unfortunate that they find themselves here on this list at the number 2 spot. But let's go on to number 1. And coming in at number 1, we've got STR Super Bezita.
Huh.
Now, when this guy came out, he was a game changer. He was the best TUR in the game.
Yes.
He led the best team in the game, Pure Saiyans. He did guaranteed crits on his super attacks. He did really, really good damage. He couldn't be slowed down by type disadvantage due to doing critical hits guaranteed. He had solid defense and really good damage. He also had an active skill, which could be activated when HP is 50% or more starting from turn 5, or when this character receives an attack and there is a cell enemy. And it gives him 5 key, 50% attack for the turn, and you know, he does the finger point, and he's like, oh yeah. But honestly, this guy just ended up being annihilated. I mean, just destroyed by the red zone meta. He fell off so hard.
Well,
man. So hard. It was ridiculous. I've never seen a unit go from like the top pinnacle, best TUR in the game, pretty much undoubtedly, to just like out of the top 10 so fast. And it's honestly because of the biggest power cliff in this game's history, the red zone meta, man.
Well, 9th anniversary is the new one. It's just, again, the difference is that 9th anniversary has Beast Gohan with his target mechanic and shit like that, whereas 7th anniversary, we did not have characters. No character was even close to, like, Beast Gohan's power and, like, you know, AGL UI and Evolution Blue Vegeta and stuff like that, right? That's the big difference, but the 9th anniversary power creep is way, way bigger. Let's let him finish this point, but I disagree a lot about
making
Vegeta,
like 95% of all Dokkan units just irrelevant.
Yep.
And honestly, his EZA is kind of similar, right? Where his EZA is not bad by any means, but is he like super dominant EZA, like one of the best EZAs ever? No chance.
No, and I mean, I guess you could make a good... I feel like I would defend this guy's EZA a little bit, but at the same time, if we do this, I mean, I've got him right there. So the March EZAs this year weren't that crazy. I think Buhan and Vegito were good. But like Super Vegeta, AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku is solid, but he's the worst Super EZA for sure. And then obviously AGL Bardock. I mean, but remember, like a character like AGL Bardock, he's not worth staging because he just outright sucked. It's like Raditz. Raditz is definitely not on this list because he just sucked ass instantly, second one, right? He was just god awful the day he came out, so he's not worth staging for sure. But okay, if we look at the EZAs of this year, I mean, you know, all these other, you know, are just EZAs that came out like right after him, right? And they're all way better. So sure, okay.
He could have been a lot better, even though he's solid. And I think SGR Super Vegeta was the fastest aging, or just one of the worst Hero to Zero characters that has ever released in this game's history. But SGR Super Vegeta is going to round off my list. Let me know what you thought of my list down below. Let me know if you thought that there were snubs on this list, if you thought other units should have been on the list, or if you think the order should have been different. But just know that if you disagree with me and the algorithm, you're wrong. But that's going to do it for me.
I think that this guy's okay. Yeah, he's listened to some of my rants before, no doubt about it.
And as
no
always,
doubt about it.
Thanks for stopping by.
I like him. Pretty good. Let's give him a follow. He did well. Let me know what you guys think. I'll make sure to link this guy's video in the comment, like pin comment. I did want to just like, this was a very well done video, and I thought spotlighting it could be good. I'm not sure what the, oh damn, I'm losing the word in my brain. Like the, oh damn, I lost the word, but hold on. Yeah, ethical. You know, I'm not sure, like, you know, I don't want to just, like, sit here and watch the guy's, you know, like, video without giving, like, anything or something like that, but I did want to kind of, like, hopefully, you know, build him up and get him in front of a broader audience if he's going to keep doing, very, very high-quality Dokkan videos like this. And again, we're about to move into a new era for Dokkan with the global sync, occurring. Now, just real quick, by the way, I kind of didn't talk about it. Super Vegeta, sure. But the problem, I think, with Super Vegeta, let's just get to the end of 2021. Yeah, which is right here. The problem with Super Vegeta right there is that Super Vegeta, right? So he's like, what? Like, it was like July. I guess he would have been he's already EZA'd. So it was like July 30th, July 31st or something like that. The character from that time frame who had it way worse is this guy. This guy had it way worse than Super Vegeta. Trunks, without a doubt to me. And, I mean, I guess you could say Trunks, even from day one, had weirdness with where it's like it takes a while to transform into this guy, and then a lot of his stuff isn't really doing very much. So he might still have even a weird EZA when he gets it. But, I mean, I would say LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, to me, has got to be number one.
And coming in at number...
I think, yeah, this guy, I think, had to have been number one. I think LR, Super Saiyan, Goku, and Vegeta easily could have been on here. Because, like, they could get smoked pretty easily by, like, AoEs, like, by, like, Sin and Omega and those characters. So I thought, like, they are characters that could have been here as well. The list was pretty good, though. I mean, this guy, I mean, very clearly, I think he's either, A, done very good research, or B, this guy's been around for a while. Because I feel like he was, like this is not a video filled with misinformation. It's the opposite, right? So, pretty good job there. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch y'all next time.